My name is Dmitry, and here I'm as an independent security researcher. Last several years, focus of my interest is ERP security, especially SAP. I do SAP penetration tests, security audit, and ERP security researches. I do, yeah. Mathieu?
So I'm Mathieu Geli. I'm a security engineer and a researcher. The last 4 years, worked with Dmitry by doing, like he said, audits, pen tests on ERP systems. So finding vulnerabilities in SAP, Oracle technologies, and coordinating with the vendors. I'm working for Sogeti, that is part of Capgemini in France. So our agenda today is to explain to you, to give you a glimpse about our research process onto why we did this specific research on SAP. We will present a bit a word about the fundamental, on what we worked, the SAP application servers, and then we'll focus on specific components we found issues. So the gateway, the message server, and we will present new vectors that we can apply to compromise systems through these problems. And of course, mitigation. So why this research? Basically, we noticed that during audit, pen tests at clients, we very often see issues related to architecture and configuration that are actually well known from the vendor, that is SAP. But the administrator sometimes don't really know well the criticality and the impact of letting those issues on their systems. So we would like to raise a bit the awareness about those issues and how could it go wrong, let's say. So a second part is we love to do code in Python, and we had fun with a specific Python library that is developed by Martin Gallo. It's open source, and we wanted to contribute as well on this library because he implemented a lot of SAP proprietary protocols that are now in the open with this library. So we based our work on this and implemented new stuff over that. And of course, as we are doing audit, pen test, and etc., we wanted to have like more bullets, let's say, to help us during audits to compromise systems when other vulnerabilities don't work. When we're speaking about SAP, actually, we need to introduce some acronyms that are kind of specific and that could be misleading. Just to introduce, for those who are not very aware of what SAP is, that's a big German company that is selling enterprise solution that helps implementing business logic. It's like HR, processes, finance, supplier, relationship management, customers, and etc. So that's quite huge servers and complex software. And they have their all acronyms, like the AS. We will speak often about AS. That's an application server. So that's where basically the business logic is executed. And different application server can speak to each other and exchange information via the protocol they call RFC. So that's in SAP term. I miss it. Wait, let me check. Yeah, remote function call. Sorry, because there are different acronyms that can be misleading. So they use this protocol to communicate with and to exchange business information between application servers. There is the SID denomination, so it's a SAP system identifier that will group several application server, the database. Basically, they will share common resources. That's named SID. That's 3 letters. And then what's executed between those servers is some code, and the language used mainly is the ABAP language, so ABAP, ABAP, whatever. This specificity very quickly about this language that it is stored in the database of the server. The source code is stored actually, and the bytecode compiled version as well. So that's a kind of specificity about ABAP, let's say. And then the notion of clients. Clients, it's not like in the usual TCP networking. A client here is only on server side, is a way to segregate users. So you may find a client, for instance, here we see 000, and then you will have some users, and then you will have client 001, and that will separate those users. They won't interact. I mean, the resources will be segregated via this information. Yes.
Yeah, good understand. Before we go to the next part, we should describe you what is SAP Application Server, or AS. So Application Server is a really important part of SAP. It's that runs a business logic, and we could dedicate 2 or 3 different SAP application servers. It could be ABAP-based application server that hosts ABAP applications, Java-based, and the modern one is HANA-based. But mainly what you find on premise systems will be SAP ABAP-based system. Anyway, almost all these 3 application servers have a different architecture, but at the same time they have a common part. It is central services like gateway, message server, enqueue server, and others. That's why for our target for today, we choose SAP Gateway, because SAP Gateway exists on every SAP installation, on every environment, because we need SAP Gateway for communication between internal processes of SAP, between if we want to communicate with SAP, with third-party application, and also Gateway required needs for communication between 2 different SAP systems. So it's one important core component. That's why we choose it. So as I said, on this scheme or diagram, you can see that different application servers could have different logic, different work processes, but all communication goes through the gateway. So, and there was a vulnerability in SAP Gateway that allows to trigger, that leads to remote code execution actually. And how does it work? Because exist 2 legit ways to execute operating system command through the gateway. It is 2 RFC functions. RFC exec that requires authentication and proper user rights for launching command on operating system level. And the second one, SAP XPG, that requires only record in ACL list. If we have empty ACL list, then we could execute operating system level commands anonymously without any authentication. So how it works? SAP user uses proprietary client, SAP GUI, and connects to the application server using login name, password, and client number. On application server, he runs a transaction SE37 and starts a RFC function, SAP XPG, and ask gateway execute who am I command on the system, and command will be executed. Okay. Also, he could ask application server execute the same command who am I on the other SAD system, on other gateway that do not have any link to the first one. And this command also will be executed. That means that there is no authentication between application server 1 of SAD1 and gateway from SAD2. That means that we could somehow sniff traffic between these 2 systems and try to replace them, just send from our attacker's machine. That's how we did it, and we successfully executed code on gateway without any authentication, without any problems. So And as I said, this is well-known vulnerability. The first mention of this problem was made maybe 10 years ago, 12 years ago. But the thing is that there is no proof of concept of this attack. There is no exploit for this attack. And this is bad because a lot of penetration test teams, I think, met a lot of SAP systems during their penetration test, but they don't have any exploits to compromise it and